A My Hero Academia project is currently my favorite thing airing, never thought I'd see the day. Crunchyroll's Anime Awards were about as awful as you'd expect them to be. Lazarus rose to prominence, fell off and then rose again, ? And this season is still home to a couple of solid hidden gems. Welcome back to another episode of This Month in Anime or These Months in Anime given my chronic lack of punctuality. How the f did I switch to a monthly format and still not be on time? It's almost impressive. Make sure to subscribe. You didn't though, did you? You did not. Make sure to subscribe. I see you. Thankfully, I believe in second chances, so go down there and press the subscribe button. My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I love this show, surprisingly enough. Alright, first things first, here's the challenge. I have to go through this entire section without making a single comparison to the main series, because that's just lazy. I'll talk about Vigilantes and Vigilantes only, or at least try to. A few unintentional comparisons might pop up here and there, but that's inevitable given the fact that both these titles are part of the same IP, and as such it's impossible to fully isolate one from the other. Right, so this show, like I said, is great. In the past, I've talked about why and how I find the main cast, especially the protagonist Koichi, to be more human and compelling than your typical hero. That's not a main series comparison, shut the f up. He is cheesy and somewhat cringe, but in a good way if that makes sense. His behavior doesn't feel obnoxious to me, in fact I'd go as far as to say he is somewhat endearing. And on top of that, I love how he second guesses himself, especially near the start, and how his confidence gradually builds up as he learns to utilize his quirk better. There's an upward trajectory when it comes to his character growth, and I think that's great. Besides all that, the show does a fantastic job with its world building. It's clearly not afraid to question the validity of heroes and actually go somewhere with that concept. It visualizes how shallow some heroes can be and how they care more about optics than actually helping people instead of simply hinting at it. It doesn't cop out, if that makes sense. Also, this aspect ties in perfectly with the concept of vigilantism, and therefore it validates the actions of the main cast. It's almost like it's a competently written story, would you look at that? While we're on the topic of world building, I loved the bit about the origins of heroes. According to the show, the moniker of hero is rooted not necessarily in heroism but in metrics like public perception and governmental convenience, and the allocation of the titles hero and villain was initially done based on these metrics. This in turn seems to suggest that hero society at best is heavily flawed. It's a fascinating idea, it really is. I was glued to the screen watching a character literally explain a chapter from a textbook. Again, competent writing goes a long way. Besides all that, the show is fantastic from a visual point of view. Unsurprisingly so, since it features a surprisingly stacked staff list. Major names like Hironori Tanaka, Vincent Chan Sard, Norimitsu Suzuki, Kohei Hirota and more showed up at one point or another. Of course it looks good. Animation muscle aside, the overall aesthetic of this show is great. The art direction and photography departments really hold their own. It's just a good show all around, isn't it? You know, initially I thought of Vigilantes as a shameless cash grab. I thought it'd be the same as those MHA movies in that it would be as basic and inoffensive writing-wise as possible, but thankfully that's not the case. It's genuinely a substantial, intriguing and fun watch. Up next, we have Lazarus, because we haven't talked about it enough already. I'm so torn on this show. On one hand, it's kinda good, but on the other, it's really not. How should I go about this? I'll put it this way. I believe, and the past two episodes will back me up here, that Lazarus would have been far better if it focused more on the gritty military/urban warfare aspect of the story, instead of being all, oh, lay humans bad, maybe the real drug was us all along, we do live in a society. In my opinion, it should have focused more on the actual step-by-step progression of the story. The Doomsday Countdown is a plot point the story is clearly not equipped to handle in any meaningful way. All it can muster is the 15th meaningless fetch quest, one that goes nowhere, might I add. I can kinda see what they were going for, but let me put it this way. This show is not as smart as it thinks it is. It's going for that whole, in the face of adversity, we learn to slow down and appreciate what we have angle. The final leg of Terror in Resonance, another Shinichiro Watanabe anime, did something similar, but the difference in execution between the two projects is astronomical. The premise is simply too large scale for the story. The latter is clearly not able to explored the former in a meaningful manner, leading to the episodes feeling hollow. It feels like the story is simply going through the motions, or at least it did, until recently. A series of mediocre episodes later, the show is kinda good now? It is, right? It is, I think. Episodes 8 and 9 out of fucking nowhere completely switched up the nature of storytelling. They focused less on the overly large premise and the fetch quests, and more on the characters and the consequences of their actions. Military conflict, international disputes, spies, military court hearings, school assassins. This show has been fun lately. I can't make any declarative statements yet because I don't know where the show will go from here on out, but if this is the direction it's headed in, I'm sold. We got there eventually. It took us a while, but we got there. Look at this, it's so cool. Wrong show by the way, mate. Ninja Kamui is down the hall and to the left. Also worth mentioning, the visuals stepped up in the past couple of episodes as well. It wasn't just the writing. Episode 8 had a series of incredibly consistent, volumetric, weighty character animation drawn by the one and only Takeshi Honda, one of the best to ever do it, and episode 9 had an insanely cool action sequence storyboarded by Gosei Oda and animated by Oda himself and Yoshihide Idue. Good stuff. Moving on, the spring season is home to a few hidden gems. It had more near the start, but that's not the case anymore. Not because people discovered those shows, but because most of them suck now. These two on the other hand don't, they're still good, in my opinion. Number 1, Rock is a lady's Modesty. It's like Bocchi the Rock meets a drug dealer really. It's a music anime and it's fantastic. It's over the top, it's unhinged, it's fun, it features fantastic CGI use. I can't really do it justice here, please give it a shot. It's amazing. Speaking of good CGI use, a second hidden gem from Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman features some of the best CGI character models I've seen, probably ever, at least as far as Japanese animation is concerned. We have high quality models, we have intricately choreographed fights, we have nearly seamless 3D 2D switching, we have it all, it's so good. And on top of that, director Akio Kazumi said it'll only get better from this point on. What more can you ask for? A good story? You have that too, kinda. It's nothing extraordinary, but it's fun, it's laid back, and it's not overly indulgent and trashy. Good stuff. Crunchyroll Anime Awards, the annual show that for some godforsaken reason you motherfuckers cannot stop talking about. Like seriously, why do you guys care? Oh, it's a popularity contest. Yes, it is. That's precisely why you shouldn't give a but you do. I'm mentioning it here just so I can make the video longer and put more ads in it. I'm doing this purely for monetary purposes, I couldn't care less otherwise. Anyway, before we talk about these stupid fucking awards, let's get this out of the way. This section will be a bit different from what you guys are used to. How so? Well, for starters, this entire section will be unscripted. In case you didn't know, I haven't really done that ever. I always have a script. Secondly, I don't actually know most of the winners this year. I know a few, but not all. And basically what I'll do is I'll live react to each winner. It's not really live, but you get the idea. I have the winners pulled up in front of me and I'll go through them for the first time on camera. And that's where the script ends. It's all spontaneous from here on out. Alright, let's get started. First off, we have, I won't be looking at the camera by the way, the best voice artist, Japanese. And the winner is Aoi Yuki for The Apothecary Diaries. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really remember anything from this show. I don't remember any noteworthy voice acting performances, so I don't really care. No, it's fine, I guess. I don't think it's supposed to be a female or male only category. It just says best voice artist. Taito Ban wasn't nominated. Taito Ban for Solo Leveling. The English voice actor was, but the Japanese wasn't for some reason. He was good. I loved the way he portrayed the difference in Sung's tonal quality as the series progressed. It was great. Why was he not nominated? Anyway, who else do we have? We have Shion Wakayama, who I imagine is the voice actress for Momo from Dan Da Dan. She was great. I loved how natural her voice sounded. Anyway, I'll quickly move on. I won't pretend like I'm an expert on voice acting. Quite frankly, I couldn't care less. Alright, we then have the best ending sequence, and this is an award I actually am aware of. I know Solo Leveling won this, and to be fair, it's kinda understandable. Also, when they say best ending sequence, do they mean the song only or the visuals as well? Either way, I think Solo Leveling should have won, but it would be good to have some clarity, I guess. What else is there worth mentioning? Oh, the Kaiju 8 ending was great. It was a One Republic song. I still can't believe they got One fucking Republic get to do an anime song. That was good. Don't really give a fuck about any other nominee. Let's move on. I think it's fair basically. I think Solo Leveling winning the Best DD award is perfectly fine. I believe the song was produced by TK and the visuals were incredible as well. Best opening sequence went to the Dan Da Dan OP. I don't really have much of a complaint about that. I think that's fair. Another song that I liked was the one for Kaiju 8, the one by Youngblood. That was good, but I think it's fair. Best score was won by Solo Leveling again. It was a Solo Leveling sweep. I'll be honest, I know all of the awards Solo Leveling won, and this too looks fair to me. Again, it's Hiroyuki Sawano, one of the best composers in the industry, and I think the Solo Leveling soundtrack was one of the best things about it. Bleach had a great soundtrack, it always did. Demon Slayer wasn't too shabby either. Frieren was great. Look Back was great too. Lots of great nominees this time around, but I think Solo Leveling winning it is somewhat fair. That genre of music is more up my alley, so personally, I'd go with Solo Leveling. So nothing particularly outrageous so far, but I'm sure that'll change soon. The best anime song went to the Dan Da Dan OP. Again, I think that's fair. The Must Protect It All, I don't really give a fuck. Best supporting character went to Fern from Frieren, which is a questionable decision, I think. Who else was nominated? Himmel was a better supporting character despite not being physically present in the story, simply because of his significance on the main cast. Or in other words, his support of the main cast. I think Himmel would have been a better pick. Turbo Granny wasn't too bad either. Like, Fern is fine, but she didn't really do much, did she? Crunchyroll's got a Crunchyroll, I guess. Best main character, Sung Jin Woo. I bet this one ruffled some feathers. I think Sung Jin Woo is a decent character as far as brainless action shows go, but I don't really think he should have been the best MC. Let's see who else was nominated. You had Kafka, who was absolutely fucking dog shit. You had Momo, who was decent. You had Okarun, who was decent. Mao Mao and Frieren. I think it should have gone to Frieren, to be honest. Not saying Frieren is the most outstanding character ever, but out of this lot, she is the best one. Next up, we have the best slice of life. We have entered the genres now, and the winner was Too Many Losing Heroines, which it's a good show. I think it's a good show, but let's be honest, it wasn't much of a slice of life, was it? Just because it takes place in a school doesn't make it a slice of life. Now that I look at it, at least half the nominees weren't proper slice of lives, but Crunchyroll's got a Crunchyroll. In my opinion, out of the nominees, the best pick would have been the third season of Laid Back Camp. I think that's the most true slice of life in this list. Let's speedrun through the genres. Best drama was Frieren, which I think is fair looking at the nominees. Best isekai was ReZero, which again, looking at the nominees, is more or less fair. They had Konosuba, but I don't think this season of Konosuba was as good as the last two, and thank the fucking lord they didn't give it to Mushoku. Best action was Solo Leveling, and I don't really have much of a complaint there. If there's one thing Solo Leveling does well, it's the action. That's like the only thing it's known for. Fight merchant, some might call it. Best comedy went to Marshall, which to be fair was quite funny, but I think I'd pick a show like Konosuba or Nokotan over it. But again, comedy is subjective, blah blah blah. Marshall is good, Marshall is a good show. Best romance went to Blue Box. Lots of strong nominees based on what I can see. I think Blue Box winning it is fair. I'm sure some of you wanted Dangers in My Heart, and from an anime only perspective, I can see that. The manga for Blue Box was great and the anime wasn't that good, but it was a great watch, no complaints from me. Best background art, that's a category apparently. Best background art went to Frieren, which to be fair was pretty much the only valid option. I've talked in the past about how much attention went into the background component and how that expanded upon the core themes of the show. It's the only show in this list that uses background for its storytelling, and for that alone I think it should have won, and it did. Fair play. Best director was won by Keiichiro Saito for Madhouse for Frieren. Again, I think that's fair, although I think they're going a bit too overboard with the Frieren love. Who else was nominated? You had Fuga Yamashiro for Dan Da Dan, which he did a great job. You have Haruo Sotozaki for Demon Slayer. Let's not talk about that one. We have Megumi Shitani for that One Piece fan letter, which I heard was great. Apothecary Diaries, Delicious in Dungeon. Yeah, I think Saito winning it is fair. Again, not too terrible so far, at least as far as Crunchyroll awards go. Best character design was won by Dan Da Dan. Character designer Naoyuki Onda isn't even credited, but Studio Science Saru is. Great job, Crunchyroll. I'm sure Science Saru, the building, did a fantastic job of designing the characters. Who else did we have? We had Delicious in Dungeon. It had decent decent designs. Demon Slayer has good designs. Kaiju 8 was a mixed bag. I liked some of Nishio's designs, but not all. I've talked about this before. Next up, we have, if it would load, Best Animation. Oh boy, Best Animation won by Demon Slayer, of course. So I imagine this is the one that ruffled a lot of feathers. What else was nominated? We had Dan Da Dan, we had Delicious in Dungeon, Free Ren, Kaiju, and Solo Leveling. Look, to play devil's advocate, and I'm not saying this is why Crunchyroll gave the award to Demon Slayer, they did it because unlimited budget works, but I think a case can be made for Demon Slayer simply because of how consistent it looks. If you look at the other nominees, if you look at Dan Da Dan, if you look at Solo Leveling, you even look at Free Ren, all of them had a few weak moments here and there, but Demon Slayer is just rock solid from start to finish. I'm not sure if there's a single bad drawing in all 4 seasons of Demon Slayer, and I think some credit should be given to it for that. Of course, the peaks of the show are great looking as well. You know, I don't think Demon Slayer should have won the award, but I'm not terribly offended by it doing so. I think it's not as outrageous as some of you think. I know it's cool to hate on Ufotable, something something no soul, something something carried by compositing, but let's look at it like a normal person. Demon Slayer looks great, it's consistent, and it has incredible peaks, and it deserves credit for that, especially in this day and age. Best Original Anime was won by Ninja Kamui? Best Original Anime was Ninja Kamui? By which fucking metric? Visuals? No. Story? No. How the fuck did it win? What else was nominated? We had Butchigiri, that was fairly shit, to be fair. Girls Band Cry, I heard it was great, I haven't seen it yet. Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night was decent. Metallic Rouge was fucking dog shit. And Train to the End of the World, it was right there. It was head and shoulders above everything else on this list. Why did it not win? It's the kind of show Crunchyroll loves to push. It's cute girls do cute things. It's great. It's so much. Ninja Kamui, how the f did Ninja Kamui win this award? How much did Cartoon Network pay Crunchyroll? Best New Series was won by Solo Leveling. It won the award over names like Dan Da Dan, Delicious in Dungeon. They really have 6 fucking shows they love to nominate, don't they? Every single category is just some variation of these 6 shows. Please, there are other shows that aired, trust me. Out of this list, I think it's the second best show in this list, second only to Free Ren. I genuinely think that. I think Solo Leveling is a good show because it knows what it is and it plays its cards accordingly. It's not the best series though, let's be honest. Best Continuing Series was won by Demon Slayer. It beat out Bleach, My Hero Academia, One Piece, Oshinoko, and Spy Family. Lots of big hitters there. Now again, to play devil's advocate, I think this season of Demon Slayer is the best, and I personally think it should have won, I really do. I'm not the biggest Demon Slayer fan, but this season was genuinely good because of reasons I've covered before. Film of the year went to Look Back, no real complaints there. I personally would have given it to the Haikyuu movie, but it's close, I'm fine either way. And finally, we have the coveted Anime of the Year, the big one, and it was won by Solo Leveling, of course. Look, again, I think it's a good show, but it's not the best show of the year. Although, to be fair, the lineup as per usual consists of just those 6 shows, and out of them, I think it's the second best, second only to Free Ren. Jesus fucking Christ, why are the nominees so uninspired? Why are they so scared of nominating anything outside of these 6 shows? Every single category is just Delicious in Dungeon, Free Ren, Solo Leveling, Demon Slayer, Kaiju 8, and maybe One Piece. Open your eyes, lads, there are other shows. Is there any other category? No, there's not. And those were the Crunchyroll Anime Awards of 2024 technically. They were fine. They were not as bad as some of the others. Remember the time they voted for Eren as both the best antagonist and the best protagonist, seemingly not giving a f about basic definitions of storytelling terms. At least it's better than that. It's a bit of a Solo Leveling sweep, which I guess is to be expected. Again, it is a popularity contest, literally so. I'm not terribly offended. I think it's fine for Crunchyroll. And that should just about do it. Did you like the video? Check out this other bit of content on screen, press the subscribe button, there should be an icon here, and until next time.